You're walking down a busy street, people rushing past you, cars honking, the smell of street food in the air. You're lost in your thoughts, maybe about work, maybe about life, maybe about something you can't even explain. And suddenly, you hear your name. You turn around, it's a stranger. They smile and say, "Hey, I think I know you from somewhere." But here's the strange part, you've never met them before. Yet somehow they say something, just one sentence, that shakes something deep inside you. It's like they knew exactly what you needed to hear in that moment. And then they disappear into the crowd. You stand there frozen, wondering, what just happened? Was that a coincidence? Or was the universe trying to tell me something? Friends, today we're diving into a truth that Buddhism has been whispering for thousands of years. There are no coincidences. There are only patterns you haven't yet learned to see. And if you're here right now, listening to my voice, it's not by accident. Because maybe this is your message. Let's be honest, we've all had those moments. You think about someone after years, and 5 minutes later they call you. You miss your train, feel irritated, and later find out there was an accident on that route. You read a random article online, and it contains exactly the advice you needed at that stage of life. Some people call it luck, some call it coincidence, but Buddhist wisdom has another word for it, interconnectedness. Buddha taught that everything, every person, every event, every tiny detail, is linked by an invisible web of cause and effect. In Pali, it's called pratityasamutpada, dependent origination. Think of it like this. A flower doesn't bloom because of just one thing. It blooms because of the soil, the water, the sunlight, the wind, the seasons, the bees, the earth's tilt. Even the distant moons pull on the tides. Everything works together. And your life, it's no different. But here's the catch, most of us are asleep. We walk through life half-conscious, scrolling, rushing, worrying, and the universe keeps sending us little nudges, little signals, and we keep missing them. It's like your phone is on silent mode. The call is coming in, but you're not hearing it. Let me tell you a story. There was once a young monk who lived in a mountain monastery. One day, his teacher asked him to travel to the city to deliver a message to another monastery. The monk packed his bag and walked to the river port to catch the morning boat. But just as he was about to board, an old man carrying heavy baskets asked for help. The monk hesitated if he stopped. He'd missed the boat, but something in his heart said, "Help him." By the time he was done, the boat had already left. Frustrated, he waited for the next one, which wouldn't come for hours. Later that day, the monk learned that the morning boat had sunk in a sudden storm, with no survivors. He stood there silent. That small decision to help a stranger had saved his life. The teacher later told him, "When your heart whispers, listen, the universe speaks softly, but it speaks the truth." Think about it. How many times have you been delayed, only to discover later it was for your own good? How many times have you met someone unexpectedly, only to realize they played a huge role in your journey? Was it all just chance, or were you being guided? Now here's the Buddhist twist. The universe is not some separate magical entity sending random gifts or punishments. You are part of the universe, the same way a wave is part of the ocean. You are part of the larger whole. So when we say the universe is sending you a message, it's actually your deeper self, your interconnected self, speaking to you through events, people, and situations. Buddha's teachings remind us that the smallest thing can be a turning point. A conversation overheard at the right moment, a book falling off a shelf in front of you, an obstacle that forces you to change direction. These are not interruptions to your life. They are your life. But here's the tricky part. If you're constantly distracted, mind jumping from one worry to the next, eyes glued to screens, ears closed to silence, you won't see the signs. That's why mindfulness, sati, is so central in Buddhism. It's like cleaning the dust off your glasses so you can finally see clearly. Let me ask you this. Right now in your own life, what strange coincidences have been showing up lately? Have you been seeing the same number again and again? Have certain words or themes been repeating in conversations? Have you been accidentally bumping into the same type of people or situations? Buddhist wisdom would say these are patterns, and patterns are never random. Here's another true story. In the early 1900s, A young man in Japan was feeling lost. He was unsure of his life's purpose and wandered aimlessly. One rainy afternoon, he took shelter in a small temple. Inside, he found an old monk sweeping the floor. The monk looked up, smiled, and said, "You're late, but you made it just in time." The young man laughed, thinking the monk was joking. But then the monk invited him for tea and shared a teaching that changed the course of his life. That every step, even the wrong ones, are part of the right path. That chance meeting turned the young man into one of the most influential Buddhist teachers of his time. So why am I telling you this? Because maybe the very fact that you clicked on this video is not an accident. Something in you may be curiosity, maybe a question you've been carrying, maybe a longing you can't name led you here. And if that's the case, don't treat this as just another video. Treat it like a door, because in the next few minutes, we're going to explore exactly how to recognize when the universe is talking to you, how to interpret its signs, and how to align yourself so that you're always in the right place at the right time. You see, Buddhism teaches that the world is like a mirror. Whatever is inside you, your fears, your hopes, your lessons, will show up outside you in the form of people, situations, and events. If you're angry inside, you'll meet more things to make you angry. If you're open and aware, you'll meet more doors opening for you. The universe is not here to trick you. It's here to guide you, but it speaks in whispers, not shouts. So today, I want you to listen carefully, because by the time we finish, you won't just believe that nothing is coincidence. You'll start to see the threads connecting your life in ways you never imagined. And who knows, maybe this is your first sign. Part 1. Deep dive into Buddhist concept of cause and effect, Pratityasamutpata, explained with relatable modern-day examples. Stories from Buddhist history and real life, where coincidences shape destinies. Part 2. How karma creates these coincidences in your path. Misconceptions about karma and destiny, clear and simple. How signs often come disguised as obstacles. Part 3. Types of universal messages and how they appear, people. Numbers, opportunities, delays. Real life, synchronicity. Examples connected with Buddhist wisdom. Part 4. Practical ways to become more aware of the signs. Mindfulness. Meditation, journaling patterns, inner stillness. How to train your mind to see what others miss. Part 5. Transformation stories, one ancient, one modern, showing how recognizing the message changed everything. Part 6. The deeper lesson, why there are no coincidences and how to live in flow with the universe. Emotional and philosophical wrap-up with a call to action. We'll treat it like a long, flowing story broken into 6 parts, but it will feel like one smooth narration, keeping the same hook-driven, emotional tone from the intro. Have you ever pulled a single thread from a piece of cloth and watched how the entire weave starts to loosen? That's how life works. One small event, one tiny action, one choice can unravel or create an entire new path. In Buddhism, this is called Pratityasamutpata, dependent origination. It's the understanding that nothing exists on its own. Everything arises because of something else. And everything you experience now is the result of infinite causes before it. The web you can't see. Imagine a vast spider's web glistening in the sunlight. You touch one part, and the entire web trembles. You may only see the part you touched, but the ripple travels everywhere. Life is exactly like that. Every word you speak, every person you meet, every decision you make sends ripples into the unseen web of existence. Some ripples return in seconds. Some take months, some take years. And here's the fascinating part. When those ripples return, they rarely look like what you expect. That's why we call them coincidences. Meeting someone who offers you a job just when you're about to give up. Finding the exact amount of money you needed in an unexpected place. Missing one opportunity, only to stumble into something far better. To the untrained eye, these seem random. But to an awakened mind, these are the visible ends of invisible threads. The old monk and the rainstorm. Let me share another Buddhist story. Centuries ago, in a small village in China, there was a monk named Liang. He was known for his quiet nature and deep meditations. One day, Liang decided to travel to a distant monastery to learn from a famous teacher. Halfway there, dark clouds gathered. A storm broke out, flooding the paths. Liang took shelter under a tree, frustrated at the delay. While waiting, he noticed a tiny ant colony nearby. The ants were desperately carrying their eggs to higher ground to avoid drowning. Without thinking, Liang picked up a stick and laid it down, creating a bridge for the ants. They quickly crossed to safety. The rain eventually stopped. Liang resumed his journey, arriving at the monastery a day later than planned. When he reached, he discovered that the monastery had been attacked the previous night by bandits. Many were hurt. His delay had saved his life. Liang bowed in silent gratitude to the ants. Helping them had delayed him, and that delay was the universe's way of protecting him. This is the hidden language of the universe. It doesn't speak in words. It speaks in timing. It speaks in meetings. It speaks in delays and detours. And if you understand this, your whole life changes. Karma, the architect of coincidences. Now let's clear something up. Karma is not fate in the way most people think. It's not a fixed script that you can't escape. It's more like a field you've planted over many lifetimes. The seeds you've sown through thoughts, words, and actions will sprout when the conditions are right. Sometimes that sprouting comes in the form of a beautiful flower. Sometimes it comes as a weed you must deal with. And sometimes it comes disguised as what you call a coincidence. If you've ever wondered why certain people just happen to appear in your life when you need them, that's karmic timing. If you've ever been saved by an unexpected delay, that's karmic timing. Buddhism teaches us, when the fruit is ripe, it will fall. Your role is not to control the ripening, but to stay awake so you can catch it when it does. The mistake people make: most people miss the universe's messages because they expect them to arrive in dramatic, magical ways, glowing signs, booming voices, obvious miracles. But the truth, the universe whispers. It speaks in small, ordinary, almost boring moments. The friend who randomly sends you a book link. The stranger who says something that gives you clarity. The bus you miss that changes the course of your day. To notice these, you must cultivate sati, mindfulness. Mindfulness is not just about sitting in meditation. It's about being here in each moment, fully awake so nothing slips by unnoticed. Segment 2, how to hear the universe's whisper. Have you ever tried talking to someone in a noisy room? No matter how loudly they speak, the background noise swallows their words. That's exactly what happens between you and the universe. The universe is always speaking, but your mind is often too loud to hear it. Thoughts about yesterday, worries about tomorrow, notifications pinging, to-do lists multiplying. The message is there, but the noise drowns it. Why the universe speaks in whispers. Buddhism teaches something fascinating. The truth is never forced upon you. It reveals itself only to a mind that is ready. If the universe screamed its guidance at you, you wouldn't grow. You become dependent, waiting for instructions. Instead, it gives you hints, nudges, subtle alignments. It invites you to become aware, to sharpen your inner listening, to trust your own wisdom. That's why the signs come quietly. A soft feeling in your chest when you're about to make the wrong choice. A subtle pull toward a certain place or person. A small delay that somehow feels meant to be. The tea master's lesson. There's an old Zen story about a young man who went to learn from a tea master. He expected to be taught special rituals, ancient secrets, and mystical wisdom. Instead, the tea master told him, "Your first lesson is to sweep the floor every morning." The young man was confused. Sweeping was not why he came, but he obeyed. Day after day he swept. At first, his mind wandered, but slowly, he began to notice the sound of the broom, the smell of dust, the way the morning light hit the floor. He began to notice things he'd never paid attention to before. Months later, the tea master said, "Now you are ready to hear the silence between sounds. That is where life speaks." This is the same with universal messages. They hide between the big events of life. They live in the pauses. If you're too busy rushing to the next thing, you'll miss them entirely. Step 1, slow the mind. To hear the universe, you must first calm the inner storm. Buddhism offers a simple but powerful practice. Anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing. Here's how you can use it. Sit quietly, close your eyes. Breathe in slowly, noticing the air entering your nose. Breathe out slowly, noticing the air leaving. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back to the breath. This is not about emptying your mind. It's about noticing it. When you start noticing your thoughts instead of drowning in them, you create space for new messages to come in. Step 2, trust the subtle pull. Sometimes you'll feel an urge to do something without knowing why. Call a certain person. Take a different route home. Pick up a book you've ignored for years. Most people dismiss these as random impulses, but in Buddhist thought, these may be karmic threads pulling you toward your next step. The key is not blind obedience, but curious openness. Follow the pull and see where it leads, without clinging to expectations. Step 3, notice patterns. One event might be chance, but when the same sign repeats, pay attention. In Buddhist monasteries, monks keep what's called a mindfulness journal, not just recording daily events, but noting repeating symbols, numbers, feelings, or encounters. If you've been seeing the same animal, number, or phrase repeatedly, the universe might be highlighting a lesson you're avoiding. Why silence is golden. In the modern world, silence is rare. We fill every gap with noise, music, podcasts, scrolling, talking. But the universe's voice is delicate. It doesn't compete with noise.